Hello everyone, it's Cassie and welcome back for another Heffy Doodle video. Today we are going to be doing the March challenge, which is the Shake Your Shamrock, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go. But here are the products I'm using. I'm using the Llamazing Llamas, just the hat from Quill You Be Mine. I'm also going to be using the Fluffy Puffy Unicorns, and I have matching dies for all of those. I have the Imperial Stitch rectangle dies, but I'm telling you, I don't end up using it, I forget. And there that is, so in case you need to see it. And then we have the Chevron Fun Stencil and some alcohol marker friendly cardstock. So pardon the little kitty booty, that is Miles. He just had to be sitting next to me, but we're going to jump right into coloring. I stamped out all of my images using some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I stamped those onto that alcohol marker friendly cardstock. So that makes everything alcohol marker friendly. And then I'm just coming in with my colors. I'm putting those up on the screen for you. But like I said, this is for the March Heffy Doodle Shake Your Shamrock Challenge, and I highly recommend you do it. The challenge is to use or make something St. Patrick's Day, make something green, or make a shaker. You can do all those things. You could do just one of those things using Heffy Doodle products, and then you post it in the Facebook page on Heffy Doodle, the Heffy Doodle Facebook page. So you can head on over there and get more details, but yes, you're definitely going to want to play. All right, so moving back onto our coloring, I have some E97. I'm going to color all of my llamas the same and kind of the same way I typically do it, just using different colors this time. I'm doing stippling, which basically means I'm doing little dots. That's where my shadowing and shading is going to be, those dots. And I'm coming in with a third color. The E07 is actually a little bit darker than the E08. And then I'm going to go backwards, going back with the E08, and then I'll finish it off with some E97, doing stippling with that as well. And I feel like the look it gives is like this curly hair on the llama, which is so fun, makes him look even puffier than they normally would, I think. So he's so stinking cute. And so we'll color them all the same, and then we'll move on to our hats. Now those hats came from the Quill You Be Mine, and I'm coloring those with C6. And then I'm going to come in with some C8 on those. But I'm going to turn these into, I guess, like the type of a hat that a leprechaun would wear that you'd see in those pictures. So we're going to alter it just a tiny bit using a gel pen. And then I'll go back with that C6 and then come back in with that C8 one more time just to kind of make sure that I didn't lose the value of the C8. And then once I've got that done, we'll come in with some Y28 for the band of the hat. And this is where we're going to move on to coloring. I'll come back to the hat later, but the clouds, we're doing some B00, and I just did some swirlies on those. And then for our rainbows, they're all going to be colored the same. We're going to start with some red, and I'll put all the colors up on the screen for you. Some R24, and then R46. And then I'll blend those colors at the top a little bit, leaving a small highlight in the center. And then our yellows will be Y18 and Y17. So that it's kind of funny to think that Y18 is lighter than Y17, but it is. And then we'll come in with our greens, and our greens are the G07. And then G19. And I'll blend those at the top. And then our B's, or our blues, our blues are B26 and B29. And normally when I would make a rainbow, I don't usually pick these bright, vibrant colors like this. I typically would go with more like turquoise and stuff, but I love this. I think this is fun. All right, so once all of those are colored, this is where I'm going to come in for the hat, and we're just going to use a gel pen and just make a little square on there. So it's not like in your face, it's pretty subtle, but you can kind of tell that it's supposed to look like the traditional like leprechaun hat. Then we're going to pull out all the matching dies that go along with these out of those 3 sets, tack that down with a little Heffy tape, and run that through our mini die cutting machine. And then we'll have all of these little images ready to play and make a scene, which I love to do, as y'all know. Okay, now we need to work on our background. So I have a piece of cardstock that I've cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so a little bit smaller than an A2 size card. I did take this outside the stencil, which is that Chevron Fun stencil, and sprayed pixie spray on the back of it. And I'm going to tack this down to a sticky mat. And I'm going to bring in some colors. I'm going to start with a light color, and that light color is Overzealous. But because this stencil is fairly intricate, and even though I've used pixie spray on it, I'm going to go in circular motions, but I'm going to try to work with the stencil, if that makes sense. So I'm coming in from the side and working towards the middle rather than working my way down. That just kind of works with the stencil, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put that all over that background. It's nice and light. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit darker color, which is this later Gator, and I'm going to come in from the sides again. And I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm going to leave that middle section to be that more of that Overzealous color. And I thought I'd be done here, but I end up deciding to bring in one more color, just one more darker color. We're going to bring in this fake plant color, and it's just going to go right along the edges. I think this frames it up really nicely. And then I want to bring in some splatters. So let's reveal what our background looks like before we do that. And I love it. I think it looks good. So our splatters are going to be using the Gansai Tambi Starry Sky, and it's the red gold color that I'm using. So I just put a little bit of water in there, take the paintbrush, swirl it around, use this little blossom tool. It's actually a paintbrush holder, or you can use it for splatter, and it works great for both. So I'm just splattering that fine mists all over that background, and this kind of ends up getting lost when I do the rest of it, but at the time I wasn't sure, so I really like that. Good to know that it can be done. And then we're going to make a flat back shaker. So not only are we using green and doing some sort of St. Patrick's Day, we are going to make a shaker as well. So to do this, I have a piece of packaging. It's a little bit bigger than our panel, and I'm going to take some 1/4-inch tape and just run that all along each of the sides of our panel. So top, bottom, and the sides. And then I'm going to peel off the release paper for the two sides and the bottom. I'm going to turn this into a pocket. We'll just stick that down on top, face down, and then we'll fold the sides over the edge. We'll do the sides first, and then we'll do the bottom. And then our corners are going to look a little funny, but we'll just trim those into the center. And then we have this nice pocket in the front so we can put some shakeables in there. So I've got this like, almost like a glitter, but it's more like a really flat sequin, and they come in different sizes. And then I've got some stars. And then I'll peel off the release paper on the top part, and we'll close it up. And then we have our shaker panel. Then trim off the corners. But look at that, how fun. So now we can start thinking about how we're going to put stuff on there. And then this is when I decide I'm going to go ahead and get my base ready, which is some green bean cardstock, cut to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4, so it is an A2 size card. And then I am going to do my inside first. So I'm going to grab the one little llama that I wanted to put on the inside, along with a sentiment that says lots of love with the double L's. And I love this little llama. He's just too stinking cute, looking like he's prancing, proud as can be. And then we'll just glue him to the inside. Obviously, I glued their little hats on top of their heads as well. So cute. And then we can attach down our panel to the front of our card base, and it's going to leave a nice green border along all the sides and edges. And then we can start adhering down all of our pieces. Now you could do foam tape on this to give it a little bit more dimension, but I figured we had a lot going on. So I'm just going to use glue, and I sort of played around with placement earlier. So now I'm just going to start actually gluing everything down. I'll start with our rainbow. And the glue works fine. Originally I was thinking maybe I would have to use the tape, but the glue works great. It stays, everything's on there, it's not going anywhere. And then I'll put down my cloud pieces. And then we'll put the llama that we want on that one. I kind of wanted them all looking like they're facing into the middle. So he's going to go on the top of that rainbow. And then we'll put this rainbow here in the middle, off to the side on that left-hand side. But I kind of need to gauge where how high up he's going to be, because I need that sentiment to go out on that upper left-hand side. So we'll attach down our rainbow. And some of these things are going to be sticking off the side. I'm not worried about that. We can easily cut those off later. So see, you really don't have to have actual St. Patrick's Day stamps, even though Heffy Doodle does have one. You don't have to have one in order to make it work. I combined 3 sets and came up with this fun, I think super fun, way of celebrating St. Patrick's Day and completing the challenge as well. And I got an opportunity to scene build and then, like I said, combine stamps that maybe I wouldn't normally combine. And you could do this with the unicorns that are in there, but I thought, how fun would it be to turn the little llamas into something like this and then to color their fur the way that I did. Just, I don't know, this was a super fun card. All right, now we're going to stamp out our sentiment. I'm using some sentiment stock. It's a nice dark black, smooth cardstock. And then I'm going to ink up my sentiment with some juicy embossing ink, stamp down the sentiment, and then we'll cover that with our white detail embossing powder. Then we'll heat set that till that is smooth and melted. Then we're going to trim that down with our guillotine trimmer. And I'm going to give it a little bit of an angle on the one edge. And then I can use that same liquid glue and I can adhere this down to the front of our card base or our card panel. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of that hanging off the edge, but now we'll just flip everything over and we can trim off that excess. And I like doing that sometimes because it definitely gives the impression that there's more going on outside of the card. And there you have it. So we've completed the challenge. We have green, we have St. Patrick's Day, and it's a shaker. So all 3 in 1. I would love to see what you guys end up coming up with. I'll have a link down below to the challenge. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please hit the like button. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And then I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.